Welcome to byProduct Live, where we unbox everything SaaS and product. We talk with experts and leaders in SaaS and products to understand their approach to leadership and ways of working, to share their knowledge and understanding. For today's episode of byProduct Live, I'm delighted to be joined by Youssef Hounat, VP of Product at Amsterdam-based DataSnipper. DataSnipper is revolutionizing productivity in the audit and finance world through their products, which supercharge Excel using their intelligent automation platform. So much so that following their latest funding round, they've joined the unicorn club with a €1 billion valuation. Their customers include all the powerhouses of the audit world: Deloitte, PwC, EY, BDO, and KPMG, to name a few. Youssef has been at the heart of their product development and now leads all product strategy and scaling. He has a different path to a lot of our guests. Youssef's not a techie or a career product professional. He made the move from industry, being an audit professional, and then transitioned into product, so has a unique perspective on scaling products. In his spare time, Youssef likes playing guitar and traveling as much as possible. How are you today, Youssef?
Hey Andrew, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here and appreciate you taking the time out. So, as with our podcast, we like to keep things moving as quickly as possible. So, I think a good point to start would just be for you maybe to give a little bit of a background of your
Yeah.
journey from industry into product.
Yeah, for sure. So I actually started out my career as a financial statement auditor. I was doing, a lot of kind of going into companies, checking the accuracy of their books and records. And I really enjoyed that job, but I also found a lot of parts of it to be really boring and repetitive. So I started building products kind of for myself, to be honest with you, and mostly because I'm pretty much quite lazy. So I would, basically use like low code and no code platforms to build tools that would save me time in my job. And through
Okay.
that, I actually kind of became like the techie auditor of my team,
Yeah.
which led to when we were actually evaluating DataSnipper for use in our own firm. I was one of the people who helped kind of coordinate the pilot, and I just saw the product.
Okay.
Yeah, I loved that product so much. I really saw what they were doing. I knew that I'd been building products for auditors by myself for the past kind of 4 or 5 years, but nothing as impactful as that. So that's when I kind of made the choice to jump ship and go
Yeah.
feet first into the product career.
Cool. So it sounds like you were a bit of a techie at heart, though, even though you'd not done techie through university or through your career, early career, etc.
Yeah, for sure. I really believe in the power of technology to help people to make our lives easier. I think it should be something that allows you to switch off of doing really boring work and focus on like value add. So yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And if we switch over to DataSnipper now, so do you want to give a quick overview on what DataSnipper do for those people that perhaps haven't heard of the business, and then I guess what
Yeah, of
problems they're
course.
solving for their users?
Yeah, definitely. So, at its heart, DataSnipper is really an intelligent automation platform that allows our users to take the source evidence or the information that they're looking at. You can think of PDF files, screenshots, any type of like Word document, for example, and actually bring that into where they're doing their work. So we basically create like an Excel plugin to make this really seamless and to
Yeah.
meet users where they are. And we also leverage a lot of machine learning technology, so optical character recognition or deep learning models to extract information and recognize information from those documents. So that's a little bit about practically what we do. I think at the heart of it, what DataSnipper solves as a problem is really trust. We don't really think about it too much, but every day we're getting up, we're going to work, we're doing our commute, and there's a lot of trust that's implicit in every single one of those steps. I trust that the bus is going to show up on time. I trust that the company that operates the bus isn't committing like major fraud or has like the right
Yeah.
accounting systems and controls in place. And so with our tool, what we're really doing is allowing our users to gain trust from their superiors by making the review of their work really easy, but then also helping people to complete audit work much more seamlessly and yeah, straightforwardly, so that essentially that work can be done to power society.
Okay, cool. And obviously at the heart of the product is AI and machine learning. And one of the things we're
Yeah.
going to talk about today is obviously that hype around AI products. It's the thing of the moment. It's going to be around forever. But there is a lot of hype around products, right? Where
Yeah.
there's maybe too much hype, and then some products are getting badged with AI that perhaps might not
Yeah,
be real AI. So what are your thoughts
yeah.
on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been around for quite a few of these like cycles, right? So we had big data, and then that kind of just became data.
Yeah,
We had all the crypto stuff, we had the metaverse, and now AI's kind of got the new like shiny badge, like you mentioned. I think that it's really important to always start with a product development process, or if you're thinking about making a product, like really figure out how to solve for a problem.
yeah,
Don't start with the solution and then work backwards to find the problem. So from my side, yes, of course, there's definitely benefits to throwing an AI badge or being a .ai like domain name for your website. But I think at the heart of it, you need to really see this as an enabling technology that
yeah,
allows you to solve a significant user pain point. And if you're not doing that, then ultimately you can have the best technology in the world, but it doesn't really, you're not going to make an impact.
yeah, absolutely. And if we kind of bring that back to DataSnipper, how are you guys using AI that is adding value to your customer? Because obviously that's what it's all about.
Yeah, so I think one thing that a lot of auditors experience, and I definitely experienced in my time, is that, people don't generally like jump for joy or feel a ton of like excitement at the prospect of being audited, right? Like, I don't
Yeah.
think there's many companies where now at DataSnipper, we are going through our financial audit right now, and we love auditors. We're like clapping them as they walk in and kind of showing off confetti cannons. But for the most part, that's not the case. And so I would say that one challenge that kind of brings up is that quite often you will require information to do your job, right? So invoices, contracts, documents that really like prove out a certain assertion that the company that you're auditing is making. And in order to make sure that you can get that source evidence and use it, that's kind of the challenge where sometimes you'll just be given a quick screenshot, or you'll be given a PDF that doesn't have a certain text layer, or maybe you'll just be given like a big here's all the files that we
Yeah.
have, and like you go away and find them out. So I think a few of the areas that DataSnipper helps there is firstly by using like a technique of optical character recognition, we can help you actually extract information from those files and documents a lot in a lot more simple manner. And the other piece is that we also have tools, techniques, and algorithms that we've developed that help you automate your processes. So rather than having to spend all of your time doing a control F over every single PDF you've been sent, you have the ability to kind of automate that and use our document matching functionality, which
Okay.
matches up the data that you're looking for to the documents that you may have been given. So I'd say those are like a couple of areas where we use AI to add value to our customers' life.
Yeah. And I guess when it comes to implementing AI solutions as a product
Mm.
leader or even I guess in engineering as well, that there's obviously some challenges in there around scaling, what tech
Mm-hmm.
to adopt,
Mm-hmm.
when to make different decisions. So what kind of challenges have you seen that you've had to overcome?
Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of excitement around the topic right now, which then, of course, breeds the same kind of concept of like, hey, what are we doing with AI, right? As a product leader, you're just going to get that question, like, when are we putting a large language model powered feature into our product? And so, you might have a board, you might have a CEO, you might have someone kind of coming to you and really sort of asking exactly when you're going to be shipping a certain feature. At the same time, on the other side, this is technology that is relatively new. It's developing
Yeah.
all the time. It's techniques that are, from one week to the next week, you might learn something that actually changes the way you want to approach that. And also, it's not something that is really like a perfect answer all the time, right? Sometimes when you're using like a algorithmically driven approach, you can end up with a bit of a black box, right? So you put in data and what you get out is an answer. And hey, how does that actually make sense? How do we
Yeah.
explain that automation to our users? So from my side, I think those are a couple of the challenges that you come across. And the way that I've really always tried to approach them is to take it back to basics and really like validate the problems that we want to resolve, right? So in our case, we see a lot of the time that like our core user group of accountants and auditors, they really want to adopt this technology. They see it, they think it's really cool, and they can see that it would save them time and potentially be able to like resolve issues for them. But the challenge that they face is that they can't really deal with a black box. They need to be able to explain their decision making to a regulator, to another
Yeah,
auditor,
of
to a
course.
peer review. And so that's something where at DataSnipper we really focus on if we're going to bring in these AI features, then how are we also supplementing them with a set of principles that allow us to really drive real value? So to give an example there, yes, it's great if I stick a contract into a model and I can ask it questions and get information around, hey, what's the term of this contract, or what's the value of the
Yeah.
property that someone might be renting, or something along those lines. But where we can take that to the next level is by implementing our traceability principle, where we not only then give you the answer, but we also show you where we found that on the document. And that's something that is maybe a bit of an example of how we can take that challenge of, hey, we want AI in our product, and go towards something where we actually deliver a lot of value to the users.
Okay, that makes sense. And I guess there's an interesting paradox here. As an early adopter of AI into your product, but AI is evolving at such a pace now. How do you handle with that? How do you handle that as a product leader? Because I guess once you've embedded AI into your product and you feel like you've got things right, but then some new models come out, some new ways of working.
Yeah.
How would you adapt to that moving forward?
Yeah, so I think the pace is pretty rapid, and I'll be honest with you, like sometimes I do feel kind of overwhelmed, right? So, I'm
Yeah.
scrolling LinkedIn and then, oh, damn, there's another announcement, or hey, like there's something new that's come out. I think the trick here is to try and separate signal from noise. So there is lots of new things, new techniques coming out on almost a weekly basis. But the signal is that, this technology is going to deliver certain value in some areas, and it also has its limitations. And those things don't tend to change on a very rapid basis. So if you think about large language models, which are really the big kind of new category that's put AI into this hype cycle, I would say,
Yeah.
they're always going to have certain advantages or certain disadvantages, certain trade-offs you have to make. So they're really great at predicting the next word in a sentence, and that's really what they're meant to do. But the challenge that they're always going to have is that they're so eager to predict that next word in the sentence that they might make up something that isn't factual, right?
Yeah,
And
of
so I think
course.
that's the thing where it doesn't really matter if we're on GPT 4, 4.0, 5, as those things are being repeated, you still have to have that core understanding of the technology that it will be great at kind of showing you that work and getting stuff done, but it's also going to always have this risk around hallucination. So I'd say focus on the signal, try and filter out the noise, and yeah, just do your best to keep up with what's interesting. I also think that this really comes back to what problem are you solving, right?
Of course.
From my perspective, the product market fit is something that we talk about a lot, but the product and product leader fit is not talked about too often. And if you don't really
Interesting.
care about the problem that you're solving, then I think it will be harder for you to stay on top of these types of changes, right? Personally, I'm obsessed with it. I love hearing
Yeah.
about the new stuff that comes out, reading the new press releases, checking out the new demos. But that's because I'm really engaged with the problem that I'm solving as well. So
Yeah.
maybe a bit of a different
Yeah.
perspective.
And I
So
guess that takes us back to the first part of our conversation of your experience coming through industry
yeah,
and then moving into product. You've got that slightly different approach because you know what those challenges are that people in industry have faced. And I guess that's what's driven your
mhm.
passion to solve them through tech.
Yeah, of course. I think if you've spent a Friday night sitting and doing that type of work and really like having to turn down like invites to parties and things like that. And of course that sounds really sad and lame, then yeah, you want to kind of change that. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, I think most product people are pretty intrinsically motivated, and you have to feel like what you're building is leading to like a better future. So if you don't feel that way, then yeah, maybe it's time to also go and see you, Andrew, and figure out a new path.
Yeah, maybe. Well, that feels like a good point for us to start and bring our conversation to a close today. So, for our listeners today, Youssef, what would you say the three key takeaways you think people can take with them?
Yeah, I would say from my side, the first thing is that you really need to think about using AI to deliver value to your user, not just because it's a hypey, exciting thing, and be really strict and set yourself a high bar for what you think that value is.
Yeah,
I'd say that the second thing is it's really difficult to do that, so also give yourself a little bit of grace as well. You need to spend time talking to your customers, working with them, and figuring out what's valuable for them. But don't expect it to happen in a day or a week. And then I think the final thing to mention is really that like scaling your team and scaling your org will kind of amplify those challenges. So when you get kind of, an investor on board, or when you have a experienced CEO, like they may be actually adding extra pressure to this discussion. And so you really need to start off as a product leader by creating a clear plan, being able to articulate very succinctly what the value that you're going to
Yeah.
deliver is, and that's how to set yourself up for success.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, it's been a super conversation today. I feel like we've gone through a lot very quickly, but I think our listeners will find it super valuable. So thank you very much again for taking the time, and we'll speak to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Andrew. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye.
Cheers.